What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video, I am bringing Shadow Alolan Marowak and Skeletor's back to the Great League. And the reason why is a fellow content creator, ZyoniK, the other day made a team consisting of Shadow Magnezone, Razorleaf Tropius, and Charm Wigglytuff. I fought this team this morning, like 4 out of 5 battles, and got really frustrated because it can be extremely dominant if you're not ready for it. So, in order to counteract the degeneracy that was Razorleaf Charm and Shadow Volt Switch, I'm bringing Guzzlord, Shadow Alolan Marowak, and Skeletor's really fun team. Obviously, we have a weakness here, Carbink. You won't be able to beat it, that's just a fact, but I only saw one, and overall it was a lot of fun and a lot of great games here, so I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, getting into the first battle, we have Guzzlord on the lead versus Vigoroth. This can be a tough Pokemon to be facing off against. We're going to go ahead and swap into that Skeletor to get ahead on energy, and my opponent is not swapping out. So odds are they're going to try to go for a Rock Slide and Bail to get themselves shield advantage, which I'm totally fine with, so I'm going to go ahead and give up a shield here. Now, was the Rock Slide, which is perfect. They swap in an Altaria. This is a very good situation for us to be in. 1, there wasn't a hard counter to Skeletor on their team. If there was, like maybe Lantern for example, it would have come onto the field. 2, Skeletor has Disarming Voice for super effective damage here against Altaria. And 3, if this is the case, then that means the GOAT has an opportunity to sweep. So we're going to go ahead and go for the 3rd Disarming Voice. This is why Skeletor is so good in the Open Great League and in play Pokemon tournaments, because it just does so well as a safe swap, as it has great coverages. Now we're going to go ahead and let the Sky Attack go through. We're going to come in with Guzzlord now and look to go for the aggressive farm down. If they get to Moonblast right here, so be it. Remember, they didn't have a hard counter for Skeletor, so we are going to let, boom, we're going to let it go down. We're going to come in with the GOAT, and we're going to try to sweep. So we do see that it is going to be Trevenant coming in. This is perfect. I'm going to go for Shadow Bone. They decide to swap out and catch it on the Vigoroth, which is totally fine. Good catch by them. But ultimately, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Fire Spin down this Vigoroth, which can only throw 1 Rock Slide. It cannot throw a Body Slam and a Rock Slide. So I'm going to farm down, and then I'm going to go for the almighty Fire Blast from the Shadow Goat in order to take out the Trevenant, because they are nowhere near a Shadow Ball, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Again, team reading's very important, and the GOAT, boom, can sweep if done correctly. Alright, good battle. Moving to the next one, we have Guzzlord versus Shadow Alolan Sandslash. So we're going to go ahead and swap out right away into Skeletor to get ahead on energy, and they swap in Annihilate. This is another good situation for us. We have Incinerate damage, we're resisting counter, we have Disarming Voice for super effective. We are in a great position right here. So what we're going to do is we got to be respectful of that Shadow Ball Night Slash. We can survive as they decide to go for it, which is fine. And if they decide to go for a Night Slash right here, which they don't, I'm going to go for the Disarming Voice to get shield number 2. We potentially have an opportunity to farm down. So we're going to go ahead and hope that this isn't Shadow Ball. It's kind of tough. I'm going to decide to shield anyways. It was just another Night Slash, which is fine. They don't get the boost, which is okay, because now this is going to be 3 Night Slash, and this is why Skeletor can be so safe, is the Night Slash is not enough to knock out. So we will be able to farm down. We just took hard switch advantage, which is obviously perfect. We see a Cresselia come in, so we're going to be going for the Shadow Ball right away. Then we're going to swap into the Alolan Marowak to get ahead on energy, and they counter swap back into Shadow Alolan Sandslash, which is gonna be dicey because it has energy, which means it has Drill Run. Boom! This just got real bad very quickly. We're gonna go ahead and come in with Skeletor to try to get an Incinerate through, but I get Shadow Claw down, and now this is not good. This is not good. The Ice Punches are gonna be hurting. Guzzlord, oh man, please hang on. Ice Punch does like 70% of our health. We go for the extra Dragon Claw there, or Dragon Tail I should say, We get to the Dragon Claw to knock out the Shadow Alolan Sandslash, and now it's going to be a race against this Cresselia for the charge move. Can they get to, I think even, no, Grass Knot may not be enough, but we do charge attack priority there, and we are able to get the Crunch, which is super effective damage. So that is going to be a, boom, good battle, very well played. Alright, getting into the next one, we have Guzzlord on the lead versus Annihilate. A very tough lead for us, so we're going to go ahead and swap out into the Skeletor to get ahead on energy, and they bring in Lantern. This is ideal, because what we're going to see right here is, firstly, we drew out a hard counter. Like the previous battle when we saw the Altaria come in, that was a signal that they did not have a hard counter in the back. This is now a signal that this may be the hardest counter, which might give Alolan Marowak some wiggle room to potentially win this game. So we're going to go ahead and no-shield the Surf as we can survive, and we do get to this Disarming Voice. This is perfect. Skeledirge, in the right situation, like we have right here, is going to be able to win Switch Advantage. Unless they shield. That's huge. Now, this Annihilate gets a lot of energy. That counter damage really started to add up. So now I have to utilize Alolan Marowak to try to win this game, and this is gonna be tough because the opponent has an opportunity to do super effective damage with Night Slash. They have the one shot with Shadow Ball. This is tough because I don't know what Pokemon number 3 in the back is. Even though I took Switch Advantage, that Annihilate got way too much energy. So I'm gonna go ahead. I was thinking about trying to catch the charge move there, which I'm not gonna be able to. I have to shield right here. It is gonna be the Shadow Ball, but I will be able to farm down. I think I decided to swap into Guzzlord, and they come out with Gligar. Now, looking back at that, I might have been able to Fire Spin down. I really did. They're like right next to a Shadow Ball. So I'm going to go ahead and go for the Crunch here. We do get a shield from the Gligar, and we do get the defense drop as well. Maybe I could have gone for double Dragon Claw right here as well, looking back at it, as the Aerial Ace is going to be enough. I wouldn't have gotten to 2 Dragon Claws. I think, yeah, it would have been very close, but I wouldn't have gotten it, so going for the debuff was worth it. We are going to come in with a Alolan Marowak now. I decide to go for the Shadow Bone right here, thinking that the Annihilate doesn't have enough energy for Shadow Ball. Boom! And then now we go for the Fire Spin, but they actually had the Shadow Ball, which is tough. So that is going to be a good game. Boom, we go down. Very well played. Alright, moving into the next one, we have Guzzlord versus Shadow Magnezone. Here it is, the Shadow Magnezone team that I have been hunting after getting destroyed by it this morning. So what we're going to do is go straight for Crunch. This is a lot of neutral damage. Guzzlord as well doesn't have to worry about any charge moves, unless they're running Flash Cannon, right? That would one-shot, but we do get the defense drop right there, which is pretty big for this matchup. Wild Charge is going to be resisted, but it still hits like a truck. But it is just going to be mirror shots, which is totally fine. Now, again, I don't have all the information, right? I don't see Pokemon number 2 or Pokemon number 3, so it may not be the exact team that I was mentioning at the beginning of this video. And sure enough, it's not. That's an Annihilate swap-in. So I have to toss everything out the window of what I thought about this team might be, and now react to what is actually in front of me. This Annihilate, we have a 2-to-1 shield advantage. We're looking very, very good to get an aggressive farm down. I will give up a shield here on this potential Shadow Ball, and it was just a Night Slash, which is fine. I'm going to go for 1 Incinerate, but they actually decide to go for double Night Slash. So I decide to let this go, because now I can safely farm down. I can survive the Night Slash as well. I can safely farm down with Incinerate. That way I have 100 energy ready to go. And if we see the Magnezone come in, I'm going to look to go for 1 Incinerate to try to take them out, which they do. So I go for the Incinerate, but their Volt Switch gets through for the energy, which is unfortunate. So now I'm forced to shield, as the Mirror Shot might have just been enough to take us out. Final Pokemon is going to be Mantine. So I go for a Disarming Voice here, hoping that now I can get to a Shadow Ball, which I do. This is a beautiful back-to-back. And then what I should be doing is swapping into a Alolan Marowak to go for the Shadow Bone, but instead, look at all this energy I just gave them. That was like 4 wing attacks. Should not have done that. Alolan Marowak coming in, I try to catch the charge move, but they didn't have it, and now we're going to get hit by a Water Pulse. And this is where I should have just come right in with Alolan Marowak. Water Pulse doesn't one-shot. It's not enough damage. but a Water Pulse and an Aerial Ace does. So that was a misplay on my end. I should have just swapped right away. We would have been fine. We would have survived Water Pulse, and we would have gotten to Shadow Bone. So good game to my opponent. All right, moving to the next one. Talonflame on the lead. Okay, Guzzlord loves this lead. We do a lot of damage with Dragon Tail as the fast move, and we do to see them decide to swap out, and they swap out into a Wigglytuff. So we're going to come in with that Skeledirge right away. We are going to be resisting Charm, Disarming Voice, as well as Neutral, which is a lot better for this matchup rather than the Shadow Alolan Marowak, because if you're not running Bone Club, you're going to be taking a while to get to that Fire Blast, and you're going to have to basically commit to a full farm down, where in this case, I can go for one Disarming Voice and a full farm down without needing to shield anything, because we're going to be resisting, and Play Rough there doesn't do enough damage. Now this is perfect. We're low enough here where the Talonflame, I think, gets probably 2 Incinerates through worth of energy, but we get a free Shadow Ball, which is a lot of damage since they decided not to shield. Guzzlord now going to be coming in, and they decide to throw the charge move. Now, I'm going to go ahead and shield. I'm concerned about maybe a Lantern in the back, potentially, or maybe a Whiscash, but it's actually going to be Superior. So this is now a good game. There's nothing really that they can do, unfortunately, as Superior is just going to get outclassed. I still have the Goat in the back, but they do decide to surrender, so it's going to be a good game. Very well played. All right, moving to the next one. Annihilape, once again on the lead. Annihilape has probably been the toughest Pokemon to face off against that isn't, that's more like neutral play against everything, because we do so well against it, but it can do well against us. Now we see a Lickitung swap into our Skeledirge, and this is pretty interesting because this is again a signal that maybe they don't have a hard counter. Now Lickitung can do well in this matchup because of the super effective lick damage, but Body Slam and Power Whip are resisted, so Skeledirge can easily take this. Now what we need to start considering is, do we decide to go for the aggressive farm down or go for the throw? And I decided to go for the throw because honestly I think the lick damage would take us out, but unfortunately for me they get another Body Slam through, which is bad news bears. I'm gonna go switch advantage here. I think I have enough for Disarming Voice against the Annihilape if it does come back in, and now we get to see what their final Pokemon is going to be as well. So I do have Disarming Voice, so this at least evens up the shields. But again, Annihilape can be very tough to deal with, especially since it has energy advantage right here by getting like 3 counters in. So this is going to be tough. I come in with the Goat, and then obviously Shadow Ball is the move we have to look out for. And this is a bait call, right? Do we shield Night Slash? Do we let it go? I decide to shield. It was Night Slash. And now I'm going to see if I can go for Shadow Bone, but I don't get there in time, which means this is going to be Shadow Ball. Hey. Boom! We go down, and now we come in with Guzzlord, and this is basically a good game, right? They're just going to be able to do so much counter damage that I won't be able to recover. So even though we had a bad lead, and we won the mid game, notice how just because we won Switch doesn't mean we were able to win this game, and that's due to how much energy Annihilape was able to get, which is why I said, and there's a Dugong in the back, which is why I said Annihilape can be tough to deal with because of all that energy. All right, moving into the next one, we have Carbink on the lead. That is going to be a good game, very well played. Moving into the next one, we have Guzzlord versus Lantern on the lead. So finally, a really good lead for us. We do see them swap out into Lickitung. So what we're going to do here is soften up this Lickitung with the Crunch before we come in with Skeledirge. Obviously, we need to keep our Guzzlord pretty healthy for the Lantern when it does decide to come back in. So now we're going to let this Body Slam go through. We're going to load up a little bit more and then swap into that Skeledirge. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and load up. We're going to swap now. And then this is a perfect opportunity where we can fully incinerate down. And this is where a Lantern can get into a lot of trouble against a Skeledirge when we have so much energy compared to the Lantern, right? Because it can't spark us down in time before we get to double Shadow Ball. And that's the power that Skeledirge can have in situations like this. And that's why it is so strong in this meta. As you guys will be able to see, I'm going to be able to get 2 Incinerates through before they can get a Surf, So this is a beautiful situation for me where the Shadow Ball will land. I'm going to go for the next one, and they actually decided to overload right there. I believe they, no, maybe they were one away from a Surf. But Shadow Ball now gets the shield, and that is perfect. They're going to commit to the farm down, which is fine. I come back in with Guzzlord right here. We're going to get hit with Thunderbolt, which is totally fine. So actually, maybe they did have enough for a Surf, but they actually decided to opt for the farm down. Thunderbolt is not going to be enough to take us out. Final Pokemon is going to be the Annihilate. So we're going to go for the Crunch here. Still neutral and has a chance to apply that debuff, and we get the shield. So that's a good game. They don't know that I have the Shadow Goat in the back, and well, now they do. So this is going to be a good one, as I can safely shield this charge move. It could be Shadow Ball. If it's a bait, which it's Night Slash right here, the next charge move, which they throw now, is only going to be Night Slash. That was not enough energy for a Shadow Ball, so I decide to let it go and then look to overload. They did get the boost right there, which is fine, but as long as I overload on energy and maintain the 1-0 shield advantage, Alolan Marowak will be able to do a Fire Spin and then go for Shadow Bone here against the Lantern, and that is going to be a good game, very well played. So this team, very strong, very competitive, I think overall. Boom, and good battle. Just obviously watch out for Carbinks. All right, moving to the next one. Another Talonflame on the lead. So a good lead right here. We'll see what my opponent decides to do. They're deciding to swap out, and they swap out into Superior. So I decide to come in with Skeletor's now after banking a charge move there on Guzzlord. That way I can charge attack priority the Talonflame if need be. But Skeletor's in a great situation where I control how this shielding scenario is going to play out, because I know they're going to get to 2 Aerial Aces. 3 is what I need to look out for. But here I'm going to be able to go for a Disarming Voice and put them in a very tough position. If they decide to shield, I fully incinerate down and give up 1 shield myself, which is going to be what's happening right here. Because now I'm going to be able to maintain switch advantage against them, and I'm going to have a Shadow Ball ready to go for that Talonflame when it does come back in. And we are low enough here where Talonflame's only really going to get 2 Incinerates worth of damage. And this Shadow Ball, like you guys saw before, does so much damage. It's like 80% of Talonflame's health, which it does land. That is beautiful. And now they actually get 3 Incinerates through, which is fine. Guzzlord coming in. I'm going to decide, they actually swap out into Wigglytuff. I was going to say I'm going to decide to shield the Fly or potential Brave Bird there, but they had Wigglytuff, and that is going to be a good game. All right, moving into the next one, we have Guzzlord versus Shadow Alolan Sandslash once again. So what we're going to do is get right in that Skeletor to try to sneak through the damage from Incinerate, but they swap in Lantern right here, which is obviously going to be tough for us to handle. But like you guys saw before, Skeletors can put a lot of neutral damage into this matchup, and then Guzzlord could come in and aggressively farm down. Now, the opponent is going to decide to throw a Surf right here, which is totally fine by me. It's going to be close if we can actually survive, which we don't. The Shadow Claws that they did against our Skeletors added up. So now what we can do is come in with Guzzlord and go for the aggressive farm down. This is exactly what Guzzlord needs in order to apply a lot of pressure on the back end, whether against the Shadow Alolan Sandslash or whatever they have in the back. Now, by fully farming down right here, they actually decide, and I'm ready to swap into Alolan Marowak, but I want to go for the Crunch first. They come in with Mandibuzz, and I am so thankful. I'd be curious to see what they were reading from my team in order to choose that, you know what, Shadow Alolan Sandslash is going to stay in the back instead of coming in to Guzzlord. Maybe they were really concerned about being so far behind on energy, because honestly, Shadow Claw is resisted by the Dark typing, and with the 2-2 shield, I could easily do well in that matchup. But Mandibuzz right here, we're totally fine. Alolan Marowak can take this game for us, especially since I'm going to be setting myself up either with a Mandibuzz that is in the red or a 2-1 shield advantage. So I will let Guzzlord go down right here. How I lose is if I give a shield to Guzzlord. So we just let this go. We come in with Alolan Marowak and we start loading up on energy. If the Mandibuzz wants to stay in, fine. I am loading up. I'm gonna have double Shadow Bones for that Shadow Alolan Marrow, or for the Shadow Alolan Sandslash. And now we're gonna safely just keep loading up on energy. They get to 2 foul plays, totally fine by me. I will give up a second shield right here. And now you guys are going to see the Alolan Sandslash come in, and we will have the double Shadow Bones ready to go. The first one actually gets the defense drop right there, and the second one here is just going to be not enough. But the Fire Spin triggers through, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played. Overall, this team was pretty fun. Like you guys saw at the beginning, or actually halfway through, Carbink, you can't beat a Carbink. Like, that's just a fact. You can't beat it. But outside of that, it was pretty refreshing and fun to play. Again, I was targeting if I ever faced off against the Magnezone, Tropius, and Wigglytuff, which I did face right before doing these sets, and then I never faced it again. But overall, it was a good set of battles, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and like always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.